We are back with another special edition of The Debrief, and I'm joined by The Hill's editor-in-chief, Bob Cusack, and also my rising co-host, Briahna Joy Gray. Good to see both of you.
It's good to be here.
While we're still waiting to learn some of the final results of last night's midterms, there were some very clear winners and losers, and we want to ask you, Bob, who's on your list?
Well, let's start with the winners. Joe Biden. Who would have thought that he would be a winner after this election? Certainly I did not. His approval ratings in the low 40s. Big night for him because politics is all about expectations. And if they keep the Senate, huge win. And, of course, the House margin is going to be small for
putting an end, I suspect, to any conversation about him not being the nominee in 2024.
Exactly. I would think it's his choice, and if he wants to do it, he's going to do it. Now, you could say that's good news or bad news for Democrats, depending on where you are. Now, the next winner is DeSantis in Florida. Huge margin over Charlie Crist. Big win. His camp was saying they wanted to win by more than 3 points because Trump won Florida by 3 points last time around. Well, he smashed that. And so the talk is now among a lot of Republicans, especially establishment Republicans, we need to move on from President Trump. How we've heard that before, though, right? I mean, who knows?
They've said it 3 times and haven't pulled it off yet.
Exactly. Now, Nancy Pelosi also, I think, a big winner because, again, she's not going to be Speaker again, but she could stay on. What? I mean, she needs the vote. She said she wouldn't stay on, but she can make the case, listen, I know how to do this. I think her deputies, Hoyer and Clyburn, they may have to, someone's got to get pushed out. But I think Pelosi, remember, to be minority leader, all you have to do is get the votes behind closed doors. You don't need to get them on the floor. So she could stick around. She's a winner. And the pro-choice movement had a phenomenal night. Abortion was a bigger issue. I knew it would be big, but it was huge. And Republicans were on the defense. And it really helped Democrats on Election Day.
Yeah, as we pointed out during Rising, the pro-choice policy positions, they actually performed even better than the Democrats themselves.
Right. So which brings me to the question, is it right to attribute the wins to Joe Biden? I agree that on paper he's a big winner tonight, but is that a kind of stolen valor from the abortion movement?
I didn't know what Democrats were going to run on before the Supreme Court decision. And then it was like, okay, now we know. And then, to his credit, Biden did get the Inflation Reduction Act done. He got a competitive bill against China done. He got actually racked up some legislative wins. And I think Republicans were like, it doesn't matter, we're going to crush him anyway. But that's a good point. I think there are a lot of outside factors here because according to all the normal things that you look at for an election, Joe Biden should have been a loser, but I think we're in weird times.
And what do you make of the strong youth vote performance here for Joe Biden? Again, some people are attributing that to the fact that he did sort of come through in at least one of these campaign promises in the form of student debt relief. Now I say sort of because no relief has actually been issued. It's been held up in the courts. And some people said that he should have immediately canceled student debt so that something like this wouldn't actually happen. He could have done this very much earlier, obviously, with a stroke of his pen in his campaign. But do you think that was a driver here of the successes last night in terms of student debt driving the youth vote, or do you think there was some other factor going on?
I think those were huge factors, without a doubt, and he did it, I think, at the right time because it fired up everybody. And then abortion obviously is on people's minds in the wake of the Supreme Court decision. And also he loosened some marijuana policies. I think that's also
true.
Marijuana won big last night as well on several ballot measures. It's not as big a piece of the story as we discussed, but people like Dr. Oz tried to attack Fetterman on being too loose on those kinds of issues. And I think that sometimes conservatives might be missing the tea leaves here, where the country is on things like marijuana legalization.
Many Republicans support that. Many Republican states have decriminalized it, et cetera, or made it for medical use. Yeah. Let's get to your winner. Those were your winners.
Those are winners.
The losers.
Well, loser is Donald Trump. Donald Trump was expecting a huge red wave. He had been campaigning on it. There was speculation he was going to announce his 2024 bid this week. He did not. I think he's in trouble against DeSantis. He clearly is annoyed that DeSantis is getting a lot of press. And I was listening to Kellyanne Conway, who used to be his campaign manager, really praising DeSantis, which I'm sure is not going to sit well with Trump. The other losers are the Republican campaign chiefs. Rick Scott, who was eyeing a 2024 bid, said they were definitely going to win the majority and could get up to 55 seats. That's not going to happen. If they get anywhere. If they get the majority, it's going to be 51. So I think his stock has taken a hit. And also Tom Emmer. Tom Emmer picked up 14 seats. He's the head of the House campaign, Republican campaign chair, in 2020. That was shocking. Not one Republican incumbent lost in 2020 in the House, in the general election. That's impressive. He has an impressive record. They did, looks like, win the House, but they didn't win it in convincing fashion. And he's trying to be the number 3 Republican. And he's got competition. And I think the fact that it wasn't a red wave when he was suggesting, and others were, that it would be a red wave, I think hurts his chances to get that leadership spot.
Yeah, this is a lesson not to set expectations very high. If there had not been these massive expectations of a red wave, you might still be saying, well, good outcome for Republicans have or look like they're going to retake the House, maybe by very little, but taking it's a win's a win. And then we still don't know exactly what's going to happen in the Senate. But because we were talking about just the end of Biden as we know it here, the end of the Biden coalition, not whatsoever is what's happening.
Well, Robbie, these politicians can't help themselves. You know what I mean? They get so fired up. Yeah. They're at rallies where they're all friends and they're all on the same side, and they think, I'm going to win. And they won, but a lot of those races were stunning, that Democratic incumbents in the House especially were able to hold on.
Do you think it had the effect of actually suppressing some turnout for Republican voters, talking about the red wave?
I think so. I think to some degree, yeah. I mean, when you think, okay, this is a slam dunk, I heard occasionally some people like Mitch McConnell would say, okay, it's going to be close, we got to get out there. But a lot of them were like, we just need to pummel them. And I do think that hurts, as it hurt Democrats with Hillary Clinton in 2016.
Absolutely.
Well, you get, I don't know what your view on this is, but when I'm getting like texts or campaign messages from Democrats, they're apocalyptic. They're the end of time is upon us if you don't. My opponent is about to come and set your house on fire unless you give me $50 right now. And that wasn't the vibe coming from the Republicans.
Most certainly not. And with respect to Donald Trump, of course, he has said he's going to make an announcement on November 15th. And I wonder if you think there's any chance that he was waiting to see what happened last night and that he might change the nature of the announcement given the poor outcomes or relatively poor outcomes for Republicans. Is there any chance that Donald Trump doesn't run?
Well, he changes his mind a lot. That's why it's difficult to report on him, because once he sets his mind on something, he can change his mind. I think there's a very good chance he changes his mind. I think think about this. That would be 2 years of campaigning. Now, he loves it, but will the country live it? I don't think so. And, independents really, and this is where the pollsters were wrong, independents went more for Democrats than we all anticipated. And that made the difference. And I think independents are looking at DeSantis and saying, maybe. And a lot of them are looking at Trump and saying, a lot of baggage there. And remember, he very well could be indicted in the next 3 weeks or a month.
Well, Maggie Haberman, the New York Times reporter, has tweeted, Trump is indeed furious this morning, particularly about Mehmet Oz, and is blaming everyone who advised him to back Oz, including his wife, describing it as not her best decision, according to people close to him.
Trump never says the buck stops with me. Blame me.
No, in fact, he explicitly said, if we do well, that's because of me, and if we don't do well, you can't blame me for it.
It's incredible. And I think that if you look at the polls of DeSantis versus Trump right now, Trump is winning, obviously. Yeah. Some of that is name ID. Not everyone, we all know DeSantis, but regular people, they're getting to know him. I think he's going to be tested. I think DeSantis has got to walk the fine line, because Trump has been criticizing DeSantis for really minor things, I think.
Petty,
yeah. So DeSantis, though, can't upset the Trump supporters. He's got to say, well, I like, Trump has good policies, and, but he's running. There's no doubt.
And no one should overplay this and think that this is going to be, this will be a scorched earth battle to the death between these two if they, as we expect, both go at it. I certainly think DeSantis can beat Trump. Yep. I don't think it is a foregone conclusion by any stretch of the imagination. So people are going to have to strap in, saddle up for a long. And
it's not going to be a two-man race. There are going to be other Republicans. Now, they are the two top ones, but you know how you're the top candidate, 1 month, and then 6 months later, you're at the bottom. So
which
that gives me quite a
gives
few.
Trump a little bit of an opportunity to shine if we think back to the 2016 primary.
Yeah.
He might not be able to take DeSantis out with one quick debate stage remark, but the others will help him get his body count up, as they say. And I'm curious, we discussed that most people don't watch debates, and debates don't have a huge effect. But of course, us sitting here at the table, we did watch the Chris DeSantis standoff, and some people who did watch the debate said they have some questions about how DeSantis is going to handle himself as he gets a more national profile, as more and more people actually know what his voice sounds like, as opposed to just a figure coming out of Florida in news headlines. What do you think that's actually going to look like when we're hearing from DeSantis and Trump tete-a-tete, as they say, in a primary context?
Well, going back to 2016, if there are a lot of Republicans in the race, that does help Trump because, there are some Trump hardcore supporters only going to, so he may just need, again, 35% per state. I think DeSantis' challenge is he's good, like Trump is, in going after the media and using the media as a weapon. But Trump also woos the media, and I haven't seen that from DeSantis. And I think you need some of that personal touch. We've had politicians come in the office, and some are very good about saying, "Hey, where are you from?" All that kind of stuff. I haven't really seen that personal touch from DeSantis. I think he's going to need to develop that.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, well, thank you for joining us for the debrief, and we'll of course continue to monitor all the latest developments throughout the week. And as long as it takes to get these results, we'll have more coverage and analysis tomorrow on Rising as well. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.